Growing up, the one thing we all kind of want to achieve is, to fit in and to be like other people. And then obviously coming, from a minority culture, you do your best to try to assimilate and try to be similar to the people you're with, especially in school, right? When you're younger. And that kind of cultural differences, it does take a toll. Maybe you don't really know within the moment, but when you're older, you realize, there was certain microaggressions that you may experience when you're young because of things that are different, like culture, like race. The easiest examples to think of is oftentimes like food, right? When your parents would, pack you some lunch or snack, but then you would kind of feel insecure. Maybe, my classmates think it doesn't smell good or, it's not appetizing. So then oftentimes you would go back to tell your parents, you know what, I just want like craft Lunchables or something very Canadian, something very not Filipino. So really that like difference in culture is where you feel it. And it manifests in something as simple as food. When it comes to the cultural differences between me and my parents, thankfully I learned a lot of my culture, and I learned all of the Filipino culture from them, from being at home. So they taught me, Filipino values, the importance of family, the importance of education, the importance of, spirituality. A lot of the differences where it comes to me and my parents is kind of the generational gap, and that's made even larger living in Canada. So the values that they have in the Philippines that's maybe different than Canadian values the gap is widened because I grew up learning and believing Canadian values. So there is that difference, but me and my parents have always had good communication between us. So if, we have disagreements, we're able to explain and talk it through.
My parents are more conservative and strict. So I do have a curfew. They're more skeptical because in the Philippines, it's a lot more dangerous. You really can't just be like walking out at night. Not to say that stuff doesn't happen in Canada, but I can still go out at 10 o'clock and get home safely if I'm in like a big group and I'm safe. But they're pretty strict about coming home early because of my own safety. And I think that's because growing up in the Philippines, it's just a lot more dangerous in that environment versus here in Canada, where there's also more like safer transit. So you can take the TTC in the Philippines. I don't really you can take the tricycle or the jeepney. So I know it's a little bit more dangerous there in the Philippines, and that's also something different. I think my parents also really value education, and I think the cultural difference there is that in their generation growing up, school was really different than it is now. And even now, graduating with a degree, it's really difficult to find a job versus when back in the day you graduated and you're a doctor. I'm just kidding, but it was a lot easier. My mom was a dentist, and she had everything set by like 23, 24. She had her clinic open, she was a dentist, and I'm still living at home at 23 with my parents. So there's that difference as well.
It didn't bother me that I don't speak Tagalog or a Filipino dialect in general. It could be Cebuano, Visayan, or Ilocano. But I'm just going to say it didn't bother me. But I do find it funny sometimes when Filipinos think like I wouldn't be able to understand it. Like, yeah. A good friend of mine, me and James worked at the airport, right? And there's a big group of Filipinos there, right? And, when the plane lands, right, there's a chance to maybe snack on a couple inbound flights, and there's a bunch of Filipinos maybe eating up at the back. And then next thing you know, I come to the back, they're telling me, oh, run away, he's here. But the thing is, it's all in Tagalog. And I'm telling them, it's okay, you could just eat it, just chill. The supervisor comes in telling them, hey, stupid, he understands. So I don't know, that's one of them, I wouldn't say it annoyed me, but it has its perks once in a while, right, I'd say. Yeah, I wouldn't say it didn't bother me. It bothered me that I didn't speak Tagalog, but it is something that I think I would want to give a chance to learning. You know what I mean? It's part of who I am.
So for me personally, I've been dancing for over 10 years with the Fiesta Filipina dance troupe of Canada. It's actually North America's oldest traditional Filipino dance troupe. And it was there where I was able to learn, the history and connect with my culture, with my Filipino roots. I was able to learn, what the national dance is of the Philippines, Carinyosa. I was able to learn the steps to tinikling, which is the Philippines' most popular dance. I was able to learn the history of the dance of Singkil, learning about a princess and her story going through forests and a prince has to come in and save her. So I think it's through these external community groups where you really connect with Filipino culture and you really get to learn and study the history behind everything. In addition to the dance troupe, I also played for several years with Filipino basketball associations. Of course, they're very popular in Toronto in the GTA, Filipino basketball. So that's another way to bond. Most recently, actually, I attended Pinoy's on Parliament, which is the first national youth conference for Filipinos. It took place in Ottawa. And through that experience, I was able to meet Filipinos from all across Canada. And I actually serve as a mentor now. So it's really cool to see how closely knit Filipinos are and how supportive the community is. And it's something I'm very proud of as a Filipino Canadian.
So most of my Filipino friends I met at church. I go to a Filipino church, so everybody is Filipino. Those are the friends that I've known since I was a kid. So those are the friends that I had and known for so many years. I think the only other Filipino friends that I have I met at school. I went to a Catholic school, and all the Catholic schools that I know of usually are mostly Filipinos. So all my Filipino friends that I know now, if I didn't meet them at church, I met them at school. And through those friends, I met a lot of other friends. And in Toronto, when you know one Filipino, you know every Filipino. We're all super connected. Especially in the neighborhood you live in. There's a neighborhood close by to my school that was just maybe 10 minutes away, and that whole neighborhood was all Filipino, and that's where all my friends lived. I live maybe like 5 minutes away from there, but that's where everybody lives. So even in your community, the stores that you'll see are like Filipino convenience stores, Filipino-owned stores. That's always really nice to see. And different parts of Toronto, too, are also populated with different Filipino communities, so it's really easy to find and meet new people, other Filipinos from all over. And that's where I met probably most of my friends, through school and through church.
I really do believe the term "no blood, no foul" is part of the rule book there. So I'm gonna say, when playing different, maybe Filipino league or even just a rec league, you never know. Yeah, it's a different type of gameplay, but it does teach you how to be more grittier, right? Compared to, I would say, a multicultural league, say the city league. Oh, and yeah, I don't know. I would kind of consider myself to be a little bit taller than the average Filipino, right? So I don't know. I just always remember playing with them. Next thing you know, holy, put this guy as center, right? I'm a skinny guy, so I don't know how to body these guys, right? I don't know. But then, next thing you know, I'm playing with a different type of group, and then, boom, I'm playing a different position. But later on, you learn it doesn't matter what you play. You got to play the game regardless of how it is, right? So that's one thing I learned, right? Just adapt to where you are, adapt to what you've been put through. So.
Thanks, guys. You can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram at JZRigor. It's amazing to see the many different things, talented Filipinos are doing, talented Filipino Canadians are doing, and we're such a big and strong network, and I hope we continue to grow and show what it really means to be Canadian, what it means to be Filipino, what it means to be Filipino Canadian.
Shout out to my family. Hi, Mom. So that's it. Thanks for listening to my story. I'm proud to be Filipino, and
thank you to Point of View for having me. I want to extend my shout out to my mom, my dad, my brothers, right? Look at my little brother, Jonathan Busline, on whatever social media he's on. help him, support him, try to get into Love After Lockdown, whatever that ad that I found on our city. But it'd be good to give him a shout out. Want to shout out to everyone during this time in the pandemic. I want to say stay strong, because I really do believe the saying, walk by faith, not by sight. So just got to give it more time. Be smart about what you got to do. That's what the term discernment is. I'm just going to say, I hope to see you guys soon again.